Hello, everyone.
Hello, Tony. Wow.
Hello,
Same
Nee.
time. Hello, Pauline. It's another week, guy.
Time passed so fast. Now it's the second half of the year. Oh my.
Yes. Can you imagine that? Like when I look at the clock and I was like, oh my God, if nothing changed, few more
Uh-huh.
months, we'll welcome 2025. Oh my God. It's,
Okay.
I feel my time fly fast or it really fast. How about you?
Well, that means we are really very, I would say, our time is really filled with a lot of activities and we are doing really meaningful
Yeah.
work. That's why we feel that our time passes very fast. Isn't
Yeah.
that I would say it's a blessing to be
Yes.
able to feel that the time passes really fast because every time we don't have enough time to do the things that we love to do and
Yeah.
achieve the results that we want to achieve, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So since time passes so fast, isn't it right? I mean, we should treasure our time even more and be
Mm.
more effective in terms of achieving the results that we want. And if we want to achieve the results that we want, we know we have to use this word called leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do it alone. If we do it alone, it's a linear progression. So, in order
Yeah.
for a compounding effect to come into place, we need a team. And that's where today's topic, what is a leadership team, comes about.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
So what is
So,
your definition of leadership team mean, Pauline?
well, really, to me, in a team, definitely there must be a leader. If there's no leader, frankly speaking, the team will definitely be in a mess, right? Yeah, so we need someone to make sure that we can lead a team. This is really important.
Yeah.
So I always believe in this in terms of team. 1 plus 1 is more than 2. This is what a team is about. There must be synergy in the team. And the
Yeah.
results that we get from a team must be better than 1 plus 1. If 1 plus 1 is equals to 2, okay, not so bad. But if 1 plus 1 is less than 2, it's bad. Yeah. So for an effective team to take place, the leader must achieve 1 plus 1 is more than 2. That's my definition of a leadership team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I I will add on what Pauline say that more than just 1 plus 1, you have to produce a result more than two. I think also as they create a new layer, or I call it a new generation of leadership.
Mm.
That's I think is also one of the tasks of meaningful of what is leadership team mean, because in Vietnam we have the sentence called the old bamboo growth, the young bamboo need to grow, and the job of the old bamboo is to protect so the young bamboo can grow up, and the bamboo tree take 5 years under the soil to be a
Yeah.
root, and then after that every day they grow extremely fast, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
that's always remind me about how important was that of nurturing the new leadership, nurturing the talent of people who are going to take charge and take over, and also give them the mission that one day they also will pass away like we do. So how
Mm.
can they pass down the experience, the knowledge, and whatever that they're going to learn and experience and improve for their
Yeah.
own experience and leadership, and then pass down to the team and pick
Yeah.
talent up and groom it again. I think that is the very meaningful thing beside of be a leader, that you can take care of other people as well.
Mm. Yeah. Good. That's a really good definition. I mean, there's no right or wrong in this.
Yeah.
To you, maybe the audience, now you are listening to this. What
Yeah.
is a leadership team? What does a team mean to you if you are now leading a team? Yeah, so this is important for us to understand in leading a team. It is not just about, like what Ni has mentioned, result is one of it, but we need to lead with a mission. And below that, in terms of the values are the underlying to make sure that everyone has the right values to work towards the mission. And this is what the team will then perform in what we call the peak performance. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, any questions that come along for us?
Let's
Yeah.
pick the first of today.
Mm.
What should a leadership team do to ensure innovation within the organization?
Oh, I think
Oh,
first of
wow.
all, this word called innovation has been coming up since I started work 20 over years ago. Yeah,
It's
we
never
talk about,
less, it's only more.
yeah, it's always like talking about innovation, innovation, innovation. Yeah, it's true. We do really have to constantly innovate. But I think this word, everybody should know. It is really more about accepting changes and be willing to change, and really understanding what is upcoming in terms of the trends, the technology, the needs. But I think most importantly, it's not just to ensure the innovation, but to make sure that we are these few days. This word has always been coming about, like if we want to make sure that we constantly is valuable, be it an individual or an organization, we need to make sure that we are always a solution provider.
Yeah.
This is what it means. So if we have solutions for people, people would want to get us, and that's where innovation will come in. So it is not just about innovation for the sake of innovation, but we innovate because we have a better solution to solve a problem. So this is what the value add is. So this is the key thing that I would like to share is, well, a leadership team always must think that I am always a solution provider. So be it for me as an individual to my teammates, be it to my customers, be it to the organization, I constantly think, what is the problem that I can solve? What kind of solutions can I provide? And that's where the innovation automatically will come. Yeah. So how about you, Ni? Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest challenge for all the leader is always about innovation, because when we talk about the word innovation, we already know that it's unpredictable.
Mm,
The unpredictable come from many form, even in our own organization or even from outside factor. And that's something I realize that the leader job is more than just point finger and tell people what to do, because they have to be consistently learning,
mm,
observing, experience new thing, and then test it by themselves. And
mm,
sometimes you have to go down to the team and explain to the team how to make it done and proven, right?
mm,
And it's hard, so like for example, yesterday I was watching documentary about Singapore, because I want to learn how this amazing leader in this country can
mm.
build. Like for
Wow.
example, they build a stadium, how do they build a garden by the bay, Marina
I-
Bay Sand. And
Yes.
when you really watch that document like for 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, you amaze how much leadership come
Hey.
involved, like the mindset of people
Yes.
who the first thing
Yes.
they say, they want to build something that mega, like
Mm,
like mega in the big land, but the product not even support the country, the citizen,
yes.
the tourists, and then also have to be sustainable. It's me,
Yes.
it's many layer of the
Mm,
piece of land. Like it just
mm,
blow my mind of how many layer of the same
yeah.
piece of land that they've been planning
Yeah.
25 years. How do they make
Yeah.
the first layer? What did they book that layer, and then next layer, and then next layer? And it look as the normal eyes, it's just a park. It's not the
Yeah.
park. Under the park, it actually the whole system from blow the air for you to be cooling in the stadium, or blow the air for you in Marina Bay Sands, and
Yes.
garden by the bay, and then they have a clean water for you, and then
Yes.
they can turn on and off the water to use
Yes. Yes.
sea water or river water and all this.
Yeah.
I like that example, because I want to show people that a lot of things you only see in the eyes level because you are the consumer.
Yes.
But at the leadership level, they always have to book a lot of questions. How am I going to make this work? How this is going to survive for 10 years, 15
Yeah.
years, 100 years,
Yes.
200 years? Or like
Yes.
how this, like for example, the stadium, how the sound system will be past the international standards. So the
Yeah.
singer will come, people will fly
Yeah.
over to Singapore to use the
Yeah.
stadium. How can you deal with the heat in Singapore when the stadium have like 1,000 of people inside? Because we're not a cold country. We're not like Europe, when you're in stadium and so chill and so cooling and you can jump and you dance and nothing happen. Here you walk in, you already sweat, right? And all that's being solved. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying is like people don't see the detail part, but innovating is something that you have to book a lot of leader brain together. So
Mm.
yes, it's very important. Individual of them have to learn, have to
Mm.
improve, have to test,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then come together.
Yeah.
Miracle happen. I think I have to use the word miracle.
That's why the leader in himself or herself must embrace change and must
Yeah,
embrace this thing called
correct.
innovation. I'm very proud to say, being a Singaporean who served in the government sector for 10 years, I definitely know the thinking behind it, the principles of governance, and how the planning, everything is being done. That's why I'm saying, as a young officer, when I start work, I started off in one of the ministries, and innovation was a big word then. And until now, it is still evolving in the government, in the Singapore government sector.
Yeah.
So a lot of planning, thinking, thoughts, even every tree in Singapore has been planned out. Yes. Okay. And
No.
each and every one of us, okay, like Eva is Singaporean, right? So when
Yes.
she's young, she has to go through certain system in the education system such that our government already know which child is suitable for what purpose. Yeah.
Wow.
So, oh yes, yes. There is this thing about the gifted exams, about the some school or national examination, and in the national examination, certain people with good grades are being put forward, and at 18 years old, everyone who have good results will be offered this thing called the scholarship, the government scholarship, and in the government scholarship, that's where the government will also take a look at the cream of the crop, who are the ones who can be developed, and give them the resources to develop them. Now, you see, as a leader of the country, this is what they embrace in terms of innovation. It's a
Yeah.
system that's in place, right? In
Yeah.
something of leadership in an organization, we also need to develop our people right from the start.
Yes.
People, human resource is the best resources. And when you mean by embracing innovation, you have to be willing to invest in your people. Of course,
Yeah.
there are people who come who have that kind of skill sets, mindset, that's great. But what we need is people who have that kind of attitude, but in terms of the skill sets, in terms of the knowledge, because things are always changing, we have to invest in them to make sure that they continue to improve themselves and be and have that ability, that knowledge, that what we call in that means the wisdom and that frame of mind to make sure that they are able to see things beyond just what they have right now. So it is
Yeah.
very important for them to be able to be exposed in different areas. That's how innovation comes about. Because certain things about innovation, yes, we can see that we can, copy from maybe Japan, China, or bigger countries like US. But there are times where you need to be a little bit more bold. And also, as leaders, do we embrace for them to really have certain so-called failures, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, be a risk taker, not risky, okay, not so risky such that the whole organization would collapse, but a risk taker. Yeah, so things like that, that all the system has to be in place, be it the culture, be it their learning and development, be it the human resource, be it the finances and the resources to be in place to embrace an innovative culture. Yeah. So that's a big
Wow.
word, right? A big
Yeah.
thing. for a
And
leader
I
to do.
and I think that's the lead to this question that I think people are always curious what's the skill that member of leadership team have to have. For me, number one is self-learning.
Yes,
The person not interested to learn and improve, I think forever they are the follower,
yes.
because leader is the one that always find problem and want to solve it.
Mm,
It's just something like the last episode we talked about that, when we talk about uh, it's just natural for me to see a problem and I like, how do we solve this, why still have this problem here at this corner,
mm,
at this part of the world, at this. And
mm,
it's just a question that is in our heart and in our soul that we want to solve. And because we want to solve, we will go and learn and figure out who already done it and
mm.
successful, or whatever that resources we can learn, right? A
Yes,
few of people that I impressed, for example, like Elon Musk, he learned 12
mm,
years old himself with
yes,
his brother to make PayPal, and he sell it. Like, think
yeah,
about it. Oh my God, 12 years old. My daughter is already 8. 4 more years, she should be that's age, right? So it's not a comparison, but I'm just to let you guys know that when you come to leadership, that's what they will do. You like
yes,
impossible for you to stop them when they want to learn something. And then
yes.
he learned about science to start do SpaceX. Like
Yeah,
all
see
this
that.
is so
Yeah,
insane of how the interests have to come from the leadership team first.
yes. Yeah, it's true. I think the most important skill set for a member is learning to learn. I
Mm.
think there is this skill set that probably a lot of people talk okay about innovative skill, creative skills, communication skills, presentation skills, whatever not. But the key thing is this. I always tell people before all these skill sets, there is one skill set that a lot of people didn't understand is learning to learn, which is the very first thing that I must know how to learn. And if I know how to learn, I can learn anything and everything. That's the key thing. Yeah. So to me, in order to have this learning to learn, the other important skills, maybe that one probably is not a skill, probably more than an attitude, is humility. Be humble. I think a member should be humble, like what Nee is saying, that we always find that we still do not know a lot of things, and be willing to acknowledge that wow, I still can learn more. For example, there are times where certain books, I reread them. Yeah, because I thought I've read this book before, but certain distinction, after I reread a particular book, I get it. Yeah, so we reread again. We do it one more time. Or there isn't a case of, as long as we're as a leader, listen to me, my way or the highway. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay. That's a scary leader for me. I mean, scary here is mean that person is will take a lot of risks for himself or herself, but then the burden is on the whole team. So
yeah.
that's
So to be a member, that's why there is this. When I was in the government sector, before I leave, in the ministry, there's this thing called the learning organization. Yeah. So as an organization, we must have this learning organization attitude to make sure that every day we are actually learning. Even when we do something new, we made a mistake, we learn from it. Yeah, that's how everyone can continuously improve. Yeah, we always have debrief. We always have post meeting or after action review, whatever you call it. That's important. Yeah. So the leader must embrace a learning organization, and the members must also embrace this. Yeah,
yeah.
I think learning to learn.
What is
Yeah.
the experience you have with,
Mhm.
because work with a leadership team sometimes can be a lot of headstrong person together and a lot of ego involved
Yeah.
in work. How do you
Yeah.
deal with that, and what have you learned over the years as a leader?
Okay. I think I'm also quite a strong-headed person. Normally, in my previous organization, it's me and another CEO who are always so-called fighting, fighting as in argue.
Yeah, I
There are
agree.
some who are, I mean, of the few in the organization. Thankfully, quite a number of them are quite mild. There are people who don't really confront. It's not easy to find people who confront.
Yeah.
Apparently, in the sad thing is sometimes when people confront, it's not so bad. But there's a lot of passive aggressive leaders. Not sure whether you know. Passive aggressive means
Yeah.
you don't say it up front, but at the back they just say, "Oh, okay, well since you have made the decision, all right, Lord." But they are like passively being aggressive. You see.
Yeah.
So when there is an issue, the good thing about me when I was in my previous organization is the leaders whom we have, because our values are very aligned. When our values are aligned, we know when we argue over certain point, it is because we want to find the best solution.
Uh,
We want to find the best way of doing certain things. I mean, we can really discuss to the point that one of us will storm out of the room to cool ourselves down. But after 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we will come back again and we discuss again, right? Have a cool time. I mean, just go take a break, cool down, and we will come back again. And sometimes if it cannot be resolved, we'll take a break. Then we'll come back tomorrow. We'll go for lunch together, right? Even when we argue, all the way and was so heated argument, but we can still go for lunch after that. Yeah. So this is at the point of a leadership, the professionalism should be in this manner. And it
mm,
should not be, oh, we are actually arguing certain points and I feel so upset. He's upset. We don't talk to each other. That's immature. Yes.
yeah.
So as leaders, we know when we argue, it's really towards getting the organization to be better. Yeah.
I can see the struggling of most of the leader. For to me, to be honest, deal with member is easier with deal with the leadership team, right? But
Yeah.
that's why the challenge is there. That's why the reward will be awesome. So every
Yes.
time, thanks for Pauline experience, and this is my experience will be, I think, different. That I'm the head of my organization, so
Mm.
I don't have really a big fight with people in my team. I'm more in the center of watching everybody fight, right?
Oh.
But I love the watching that kind of movie. I'm the last person who speak, and I let everybody share what they thought and they feeling and why they make certain decision. So I have a two side, right? The Singapore business is three of us as a leader together, but we take care of different part of the business. So we don't even comment about what you're doing. Like me, if my friend take care of the finance, I don't even question about that. My friend
Ah,
take care of all the contractor side, I don't even question about that. I take care of the sales team, they don't even question how I do it. So we trust each other that you
mm.
do your task good
Yes.
enough. We don't
Yeah.
have to have conflict because we actually don't do our job, do each other job. You do your job, and so that's the share
Mm.
business. And I think I'm very lucky. Most of people
Mm.
don't have that kind of luck to work with partnership that
Yeah.
so that's one, it give me a lot of peace for me to do
Mm.
in business in Vietnam. But when I run an organization who everybody is a young leader, like they still learning, they make mistake, they still naive, but they strong character, right? They want to
Ah,
show they power, or like they want, like sometimes it's too much, like how to manage that, to control and
mm.
teach them how to manage that. And then sometimes they lack of experience how to deal with this situation, what sentence to say, like why you say certain thing hurtful to other, like do you have
Yeah.
empathy. So it's quite fun to watching um, people when they show up at who they are. And I think that's my talent of be patient and very calm in the meeting, because I would love to see individual give me a perspective of, because sometimes they give the view very interesting, you know what I mean? And like when they share it, you were like, that's a very interesting view, because they view from their land, and
I
that's how
see.
they do work. And then it's
Yeah.
so sometimes it's hard for you to give them feedback either, because if you give them too much feedback, then how is enough feedback, right? You give too much feedback, the person start doubt on themselves. You don't
Ah,
give feedback, they will start doing with impulsive but not confident. That's not confident, that's just do it because I don't know what else to do, right? So I think the line between how do you give feedback and still encourage them to be confident? I think that's also a problem, because if you give too much feedback, sometimes they feel like I'm not good enough. I think I'm not ready to be a leader, for example. But I remember in the past I make a ton of mistake as well. I think I'm just good at stand up again and just do it again, right? I
Mm.
quick to like it's just do wrong. What's a big deal, right? And it become a practice for me. And like, what a big deal? You just lost money. You can make back anyway. You're not die yet. You know, I it become my slogan. You're not die yet, right? You still can make back money.
Yeah.
What's the big deal, right? You're not go to bankruptcy yet. What's the big deal? It's okay. So it's, but when you teach the team to be a leader or you guide them as a leadership level, the experience I have is if you let them do mistakes so much, they also lost the respect from the bottom. So it's really is very challenging when you leading the leadership team compared with you just leading a follower, because the
Mhm.
follower is actually they good with what they're doing and they don't want to be they don't want to lead other. You just
Mhm.
tell them what to do and they do with it. But the leadership team, how do you going to build them to become resilient, strong,
Yeah.
independent,
Yeah.
responsibility, give authority with thoughtful?
Mm.
So I think all that is really challenge. And when I'm sharing this with you guys right now, that challenge doesn't last. It's just increase more when you have when your team grow as well as the individual, right? They grow
Mm.
in personal life, they grow in the skill of working and even the
Mm.
skill of leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, because NhiLe's team is generally much younger, in the
Yeah.
20s, probably 30s. The
Yeah.
team that I'm working with in the past, the listed company, generally the leadership team tend to be at a more mature age.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it depends on your leadership team right now. Are they young people or are they generally more in the 40s, 50s? The behavior will be different. There's no
Yeah.
right or wrong, there's no best team. It's just that whichever works. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why it's an art. Leadership is an art.
I
There
think it's
is,
really
yeah.
it's like,
When
and how you
dealing with people is just an art. Yeah. So is it true that the leader is the person that ever person around want to come close to her or he? It means he or she has to be in the crowd. Okay, let me understand a bit more about this question. Which means, is it true that the leader, the person that sorry, I don't understand the first part. Is the person that want to come close to her? It means the people have okay. So does it mean that the to be a good leader, the person must always mingle with the crowd? Is it? I take it if I read the question correctly. If
yeah.
not, you can and ask the question again. Okay, Lynn. Right. So to me, when as a leader, yes, we definitely must know what's happening in the ground. Okay, but it all depends on how big is your organization and how big a team you are leading, right? If let's say the team that you are leading, for example, Mark Zuckerberg leading Facebook, my God, how many team members are there in Facebook all over the world? I don't think it is feasible for him to be like knowing really the ground. So he needs the help of a team to understand the ground feedback. All right. So I mean, being a small organization, if you are leading like a 5 to 10 man team, it is easy to be in the crowd. That's always the most fun part because these are what we call the founding team, right? So everybody really fighting for a mission. As we grow the company to maybe from 10 people to 100 people to 200 people to thousands of people, I tell you, the leadership skills, how a leader interact with the crowd, so-called the crowd, would be very different. So that's the reason why there will be hierarchy in the organization. That's the reason why the middle managers themselves have to be leaders as well. Yeah, so the top leader would rely on the middle managers as leaders also to lead those people who are under them or working with them. Yeah. So how about you, Ni? What's your take in this question?
But I I would say that as a leader, you need to be knowing everything of every individual in the team, what they task and what they role and what they actually have to do.
Mm.
But also you have to see the big picture, like that I share in previous live stream. We talk about that, like when you lead the small team, only 5 people in the bus, small mini van, is very different when you ride a container ship. It's big,
Yeah.
it's huge, right? How
Yes.
can you see the behind? So it
Yeah.
come to the task of the leader, that you need to know, like you cannot be in the crowd and you cannot touch everybody at the end of the
Mm.
day, and you have
Yeah.
to willing to let go that
Yes.
um connection with other, by let other team member do the job for you. Like Singapore is an example. Not everybody can talk with the PM, right? But they have
Yeah.
a small leadership who in different location to take care of citizen at
Mm.
that location, like for
Yeah.
you to meet them, to talk to them, to
Yeah.
share your concern, and they bring that up to PM, right? So it's a
Mm.
trust level have to have, and I think that's requirement a lot of training. And like just now Pauline said, it's a art. It's really a art, and people don't, if people don't understand themselves and they have enough patience to sit down and understand other, I think it will be very big challenge for them to
Mm.
understand the team member in a deep level of leadership more than you just want to be close with someone, it's the professional have to be involved as well, because
Mm.
you want to meet that person, you talk a lot to that person, but for what purpose, right? Because as a leader, you have a lot of tasks you have to done, and you don't have time for even a coffee conversation. It's not a cappuccino conversation kind of meeting, right? We have a lot of responsibility. And doesn't mean that we important, but we just priority what we need to be done. And
Yes.
and that's why we have HR team, right?
Yes.
To deal with human resources, to solve the
Yes.
problem about family issue and
Ah,
whatsoever,
correct.
right? Yeah.
Yes. That's why we need a different departments. Wow. Ooh.
So
The next
maybe my
question.
team member use my okay, my team manager use my other channel. So the question is, how
Ah,
the leadership team influence organization culture and direction.
wow. This one requires a lot of clarity, a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
Yes. It is not easy. I remember every time we do have leadership team retreat, right? It is important. This kind of retreat is because every year we need to relook at our mission statement. We need to
Yeah.
relook at our vision. Are we there yet? We need to relook whether in terms of our business objectives. Yes. So this is really important for the leadership team to always come together. Yeah. So to me, the leadership team really is the call. The clarity must be there. If not, because they told the line, right? Especially if the organization is not just in one country. Like for me, that time I do have uh, officers from different parts of the world. Like there are people from Thailand. I've got office in Thailand, in Taiwan, in Shanghai, in KL, in even Australia. So all the different people coming together, the culture in itself in different countries will be different as well, right? And certain things that can be done would also be different. So
Yeah.
yeah, because we cannot compare sometimes in certain places. Like for example, the way things are being done. Like for example, you talk about in Singapore, our speed is really fast. And yeah, and we are quite fortunate that we can be exposed to different resources in different parts of the world. So when it comes to, let's say, comparing to some people who are working in our China team, right? So the way the government works and maybe how they are brought up is slightly different in terms of culture. And let's say we are very westernized when we are doing certain things, so it may not gel nicely with the Chinese culture. So this is where we need to make sure that in an organization we have to be sensitive towards that as well. Yeah, in terms of influencing the organizational culture. Yes. So that part really we have to discuss it out with the different leaders representing the different officers. So this is what I faced when I was running a team with different country heads. Yeah. Mm.
I think the culture is a one of even big problem for even big organization, right? So I love to study business case study. So
Yeah.
I like a lot of case study about how they talk about like how do they bring Starbucks to China, and then how
Ah,
do they bring McDonald's and KFC to Southeast Asia where our food is amazing, like how do
yeah.
they influence other here to buy the food, but at the same time they
Yeah.
need to have, and then they smart enough to create a local team where I give them the advice about the taste of the people there, what they eat,
Yes.
and what's the price and what's the location. So I think in terms of leadership and then influence the organization, this is the harder part for big company. I think small company is still not to that level that we have to. Well, of course, with AI and technology and internet right now, yes, we have to sell the product in different
Mm,
country. But in the
mm,
past, you actually barely can touch other culture, right?
yeah.
And the leader first have to be sharp enough to understand that country culture as well.
Mm,
So I think I realize my advantage right now to run business in both country, that I
mm,
understand the culture of both country. So even people want to enter Vietnam or want to start business in Vietnam, or they need my help to start something in Vietnam, I can give them very solid advice and knowledge because I'm a Vietnamese in culture, right? I know
yeah.
how people think, what's the
Yes.
consumer like, what did they demanding, what did they want, what did they looking for, and what the style buying from there. So all this is help a lot because they will cut a
Yes.
lot of time for try to
Mm,
do things that work in that country but not work in other country.
yeah.
And I think as a leader, this is the come back to the skill that we have to have, which is self-learning. So
Mm,
self-learn and then observe and then comparing. So I love travel, but I'm not travel with like a mindset of tourist. So every
mm,
time I travel, I will live like a local there. I will go
yeah.
with local and I will ask a lot of questions about
Wow.
business, like why the shop is here, and why the shop not there. Like
Mm,
how do people eat here? Like what type of food they eat here, and then
yeah.
what bar they have here, what club and restaurant, and why the price
Mm,
here is expensive. Or like you just ask the people there live, and then they are the consumer, they will tell you why they love certain thing. And
mm,
that's a great thing to learn, and something that we may find popular in our country that will not, there
mm,
the style of population is different, and that's how you learn, that's how you
mm,
find the look. Well, I hope
yeah.
I can transfer my brain to everybody. I'm sure Pauline the same, but we can't.
There are other
Right.
smart people out there as well.
Yes,
I always
yes.
believe.
So yeah, so you guys can reach out to other leader, and this how you learn from each other as well. When you
Mm,
sit with another leader, we actually share a lot of idea and innovating and
mm,
where the world is and different industry, what is the thing trending right now, what the challenge they have. Like
yes.
I sit with my friend who are in the AI industry for 20 years. It's mean whatever you guys see right now, they've been built for 20 years ago, right? And he will share with me a lot about what will happen and all that. And that's how I learn, right? Like, oh, okay, so now I know the direction of the big guy. And then I ask him one question. All my friend, I always ask one question. So what's the challenge you face right now? Because I
Mm,
think that's exactly what people missing. They always ask about the success, the achievement, the result, but
yeah.
I'm sure every big guy have a challenge as well. And this is what he shared with me, that the bigger challenge they have is actually the user behave, that they haven't learned how to use AI quick enough.
Mm,
I think at the moment we all know how to use AI, all these company will bloom like crazy because they
yes.
already have a product. They just train people slowly to use it, and that's
Mm,
take time to adapt the behave from the consumer, right? So again, like look back in the history, we have to learn how to use the car, we have to learn how to use motorbike, we have to learn how to use airplane, we have to learn
mm,
how to get used to handphone, and then
yeah.
smartphone, and then computer, and then laptop. So it's the same thing with AI. We also have to take time to
Mm,
learn it. And that's what the culture is involved, that's what the behavior of the organization have to influence, not even in the organization, you have to influence the public as well.
Yeah. Wow. Wonderful. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a leader. So another question: what's the process for making strategic decisions within? Oh, wow, that sounds a little bit technical. The process for making strategic decisions. Well, I'm
Well,
not sure about your
Polly and
organization.
me similar. We both just born with it. I'm kidding.
That's why I said, well, what's the process? Okay, have I gone through any process? Now I'm thinking. I can tell you it's learn on the job. Strategic decision.
Yeah,
Really, really.
I think
It's
fail long enough, you will learn. I don't know. That's for me.
yeah.
I fail a
It is
lot though. I mean, I do
feel
wrong a lot in the past.
yeah.
A
I'm
lot.
quite lucky when I make like strategic decisions within the leadership team. I went through quite a bit of a training when the first 10 years of my working life. I was being exposed to quite a number of training system because me being in the public sector in itself, I've seen how leaders make decisions. And there is certain framework for strategic decisions to be made in terms of, let's say, looking at the macro environment and the micro environment, right? So there's always this thing like, for example, okay, I'm not sure whether you have heard of this. In business world, there's the SWOT analysis. Before we make any strategic decisions, we actually got to do the SWOT analysis. We got to do I think there's the 7 steps of the environment, the macro environment. All right. I can't remember the exact thing in terms of the environment. Got to look at different economics, different parts of it. Okay. I know there's the 7 indicators. So many of such of these things are useful in making strategic decisions. So this one normally will be done in a retreat where a facilitator is good. If you can engage a facilitator who can facilitate the process, so that the whole strategic team, the leadership team, can come up with certain strategic. First of all, there must be certain strategies coming up, right? There must be the year work plan and when they execute this work plan. So once this is done, it's more the tactical side. It won't be the strategic side. Normally, strategic side is like the beginning of the year where the leaders will come together and with all this SWOT analysis and different frameworks that come together to know what's the macro environment, looking into the objectives, and then come with the strategic decisions.
Yeah.
But of course, time again, there will be the quarterly review, there will be the half yearly review, which has to be done because the environment change. So this is more when I'm sharing right now, it's more a very systematic framework. Okay. But here, I mean, this is theory lah. In practice, oh, I tell you, things just change. Environment just change. I can tell you, just do whatever that works for the business. Okay. So we have the broad directions, make it clear to the team. There's a strategic way, tactical, make sure that fast to change. Okay. The middle managers are there. Operationally, frankly speaking, this is where it will kind of like put everything in alignment. Okay. Yeah, so this is how the theory part, I will share with you the big framework. So, maybe you want to share with them the practical part.
Well, I'm this one I will agree with Polly 100% because it's the plan you have sometimes may not match with the plan that like God create for you or God
Mm,
create for your company. Somehow some people will come up and I don't want to sound like a victim, but they will create problem based on their life situation. And I always see most of the time the business will be so smooth without human. And when I used to like and the side of upset people when AI will exit, I was like, why
mm,
people need AI? You don't care of human anymore. You don't want to give job at the human. Until I run business and I realize, yeah, it's have a reason for that because human always have problem. Today I have my tooth pain, my ear pain, my hand pain, my leg pain, my family problem, my I have kids. I understand, right? And that's why I
Mm.
say I love you. I want to take care of the problem you have as well. But the business need to run
Yes.
strategically. We have a plan that we need to follow, and just
Yes.
one person not aligned, and then you need to replace somebody in, and then when you replace someone in, you need to train them, you need to teach them,
Mm.
and that's why they create AI. I think like that's why they figured out that, you know what, we cannot depend on human forever, because we actually make error a lot, right?
Mm.
Like let's be honest with each other, we make a lot of error, we cannot remember
Yes.
everything, we have
Yeah.
limited memory in our brain, and then we have emotional involved. If today
Yeah.
our kid 3 nights in a row have high fever, next day no matter how much you love your team, you won't have a clear brain to make a a firm decision or like a correct decision. It may affect if your health is not right. So,
Yeah.
and can you imagine like that's time 100 when 100 people in the same company. So I think it's come to the day we have to understand that yes, no matter how much you blend, it's only
Mm.
help you a very small amount. Certain thing you have no, you cannot make mistake. Like for example, in architecture, like building, like build house, all
Mm.
that. So we're not talking about that, right? Because that's something that's going to last, and that's requirement the
Yeah.
team of the stress level that they have to deal with. And if they do wrong, they have to be honest, and they have to
Yes.
take it down, and they have to build it again. For
Yeah.
example, but other than that, the rest of the work in the world, I find if like today I read the news that Boeing finally admit that they engineering, and because they rushed to make the Boeing fly, and
Seven.
they indirectly they kill a lot of people on the way, right? But that's, if you look back history, that's how airplane being made, either like even the window, right? So yes, people make a lot of big deal right now because we are in the internet world. When you make one mistake, you will get a ton of people like, bring you down. And a part of price pay to be a leader, right? You can plan, you can strategic, and you make one mistake and that's it. It affect a lot money, human life, etc. So I feel very encouraging for the next world, that new world that we're going to enter, is
Mm.
that AI will help a lot. Like yesterday, I'm sorry, guy, I sound like a nerd, but I learned a lot about case study about business, right? Because I love it, right? So I learned
Mm.
about Dyson as well. I say, how
Sorry.
on earth Dyson?
Dyson. Oh, Dyson.
Because I want
Mm.
to understand how does the CEO, the founder, is not in Singapore and the business runs so well in Singapore. And then I realized that is the hair dryer that we use is 100% made from the AI and the robot. The
Mm.
vacuum is 100% made from a robot. And she explained one thing that I find very interesting. She say, if you
Oh.
use human hand to curve certain point, you can fail it 1,000 times
Mm.
to make one machine to self. But if you
Yeah.
give
Robot.
the AI to do the robot, they do 24/7 and they haven't make a mistake. It
Yeah.
blow my mind. I'm like, what the heck? That's how I get the hair dryer in the house. That's how because I always question how on earth they make the hair dryer and the vacuum cleaner and all this so fast to sell in the market with a big volume.
Mm.
Very fast. It's very quick. And you have to learn behind of every success story. It's quite
Yes.
interesting. And they
Yes.
use very minimal humans in the organization, very
Yeah.
little, but the person who there is extremely smart. It's so
Yes.
smart in the document. I was like, I think if I meet this person outside, they would think you too dumb for me to talk to you, because even the way they sharing, I have to be honest. Most of the thing they share, I don't understand, right? And
Yeah.
but it's also frustrated for us to realize as a leader, some leader can be that's extremely like in the next level. I have to
Mm.
say in the next level.
Yes.
So yes.
Wow. So we
It's-
have to go for the last question.
let's pick
Wow.
the last one. Let's pick
Yes. Choose.
something
Yeah. Something more
KPI.
interesting.
Okay, this one I think I will
KPI.
give 100% to Pauline.
Wow, what matrix KPIs are useful for assessing the effectiveness of a leadership team? What do you want? Do you want to use P&L, balance sheet, or you want to use balance scorecard? Oh my God.
What is work for you so far, like your experience?
I think when you talk about effectiveness of a leadership team, it really is. We talk about the maybe the popularity and so on, but it boils down to really when it comes down to P&L. Yeah, I have to be very upfront, okay?
Mm.
Because when the company, first thing first, survival is very important for a company, okay?
Yeah.
We cannot just hard, love in an organization, okay? We need to make sure that our people, they are being paid, not only being paid, but paid well, okay, and with if the when the organization does have that luxury of that money, the profits, we can take care of each and every one of them in the form of benefits, in the form of learning, exposure, right? So I have to be very upfront that really one of the effectiveness of a leadership team is being able first to make money for the company, right? So once the company has the luxury of profits, next, how do you reinvest the profits? Okay. So when we reinvest the profits, as I mentioned, I love this thing called leverage. When I do anything in terms of the organization, in terms of the business, there must be a leverage point, and the leverage point definitely is in human resource. So the next part is use that resource, the financial resource, to invest into human resource. And this is where the talent would become would shine and grow. Okay, so invest in there. So the metrics and the KPIs, I love this thing called balance scorecard. Not sure whether you have heard of what balance scorecard is, where it talks about not just about P&L, finance is one part. It also talks about customers. It also talks about the suppliers as well as the team members learning. So that's why it's called a balance scorecard, that it measures all forms to make sure that every part of the organization is being taken care of, such that it will actually have a good cycle when you are able to sell your products. You have a good supplier that comes in, okay, that gives you very good raw materials, then you are able to generate very good products. Like for example, if Dyson suppliers don't, it's not really good, it's very difficult for them, or their people is not in the learning mode, right? Even though they say they use AI technology, but it's the people who is able to leverage an AI, all right, to know how to use the robots and make the robots such that all the time that's being taken and the technology is always there, all right. So and after you have that money that's being made, reinvest back into the technology, the people, back into there. So that's where I think the matrix and the KPIs are really useful when you have everything. Like for example, the P&L side, there's a KPI. The of course the P&L we talk about is really the profits, right? The cash flow. Make sure that cash flow, there's also a matrix for that. The people, okay, in terms of their engagement level, in terms of your turnover, in terms of their learning and development, is also there. You have a matrix for that. All right. Customers. Okay. So in the tracking of the customers, maybe loyalty or the recurring, is there the recurring businesses? There's also the matrix over there in terms of the KPIs. That's really important. Okay. So all aspects must be covered. These are the few key things that I would think would be useful. Me?
Well, I don't have a metric for KPIs. I think it's still very hard. Train the sales team is a harder thing for me. Uh,
Mm,
I think this work for me. It may not work for other people. So I will share under my personal
yeah.
experience that people deal work most with the boss, and
Mm,
the people who under the boss normally they will have to have the same value, the same mindset, the same core value. I find that is something that you can't run away, right? It's like, and if you have that culture in a company so strong, that spreads all over in your team member, that even the style of selling or even the style of close to the customer, same as the leadership team, the business will go to the right customer. Because if the end money come is very simple, you solve problem for the business and people pay for you. It's amount of problem, like in volume, right? How big the problem you can solve,
Yes.
the big fund will come to your business. And
Mm.
but to solve that big problem you cannot. So I have one lesson that I sit with my mentor when we discuss about, he will feedback me about how I should dress up.
Yes.
And that's the time I'm still young leader, I didn't understand, right? He say, you know, have some people have a bad experience. For example, they see people who wear bling bling stuff or too fancy and too much, right, in like in front of them, and no matter how hard you try to sell, you cannot close it because they already have a first impression
Yeah.
that something in the past have nothing to do with you, but something in the past they already have a bad impression about. For example, the girl who dress up too much, or like
Yeah.
the guy who are too much show off about luxury stuff. So, and that's a very good lesson when he shared with me, because I will have a question about he and his team, like how can you guys sell $1 million product and you just dress so simple. And when he shared me that lesson, I book it too hard and I test and I realize that it's the end. You just have to deal with people,
Yeah.
right? You just have to be smart enough to understand. Yes, you can be yourself and you can be yourself, but not for the first second you meet someone because the person don't know you yet. So it's still your job to show your personality more than what you dress, right? Yeah, you have to dress politely and simple, but you should don't too much. So he gave me a whole set of a new world explanation of how to see the world in the length of just more than for myself, right? Like, and how to train the team to think the same way so they don't fail every time. Because for you to meet one lead already difficult, and then you have
Yes.
to keep the lead, and then you have to follow the lead, and then you have to manage to let the lead accepted
Yeah.
and go with you and not with other business. So it's, yeah, I have a step process for you to be there, but also a lot of self discover as well as a leader when you pass down the culture in the business and the value. I will look all the way back to the root of the problem.
Yeah, that's why I always say, you see, we both me, we are really the BlackPink. Why? Because I'm always the theory person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the framework, the theory, and me is the practical person, telling you
Yeah,
what's on the ground.
and you see that's a fun thing that we exchange, right? Because you share different style and I share different style, but we all add more stuff for them to learn now. And by
Yeah,
the way, it's nothing wrong and right. It's just this
yeah,
is our real experience that we want to share with you. This is how
mm,
I experience as a leader, and this is how Pauline experienced as a leader.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
and is and what worked for us, it can be, how do I say? I don't want to use the word advice because it's not advice. The
mm,
sharing is to give you a different window, like this window
yes,
you view like this window, so you
mm,
view more view. So that's how you gain knowledge
correct,
over time. And when problem come, when the shit
yes.
hit the fan, something may pop up.
Yeah. So have that
Yeah, that's
perspective, a wider perspective, and get from and learning from the different leaders. I think that is the best. I always feel that the
yeah,
best learning really are from the real leaders themselves, right?
yeah,
Because they have been there, I mean, been there, done that. Okay, learn from their good and probably they are not so good as well. Yeah, learn from their successes also, and also probably their mistakes and their challenges. All
yeah.
right. So yeah, it's
Thank you, guys. That's it.
another hour of good discussion, and thank you very much for joining us. I hope
Yeah.
you have learned as much as me as well, because always all these questions are so good and you put us at the spot. Sometimes I'm like, wow, why are you guys so good? My God. So
Don't
awesome.
forget to like, share, and subscribe both our channel, and also like and share our Blackpink Leader podcast as well. We will see you in the next episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe both Pauline channel and my channel, and also this channel. If you love
All
what you're
right.
watching, Please share it, and we will see you in the next episode.
Yes. Bye.